Hey, the parking lot lights came on, finally. Literally was just talking about that in the last video. Alright, what up everyone? Welcome back to Blade Bias. Today, we are going to do something pretty fun. And what are we going to do? We're going to talk about these bad boys, because I've wanted to talk about these bad boys for a long time now. I've done my videos in the past where I talk about a specific hobby of mine that I've been having lately. I did it with beglery. I didn't do it with yo-yos because I didn't have a yo-yo for the longest time. Or I didn't have a yo-yo when I lost my yo-yo by the time I started Blade Bias, actually. I had a fairly nice one. It was like one from Amazon, so like wasn't the nicest, but lost it. I have no idea where it is. That's actually like... That's a mystery. I don't know where that thing went, and I don't usually lose things like that. Thankfully, I only paid like 20 bucks for it, so I'm dying. Nothing too crazy. Kuno pre-order. Remshi, you wanna shout out? I'll shout out the Kuno. Kuno's fun, man. I like the Kuno. And I'm gonna flip the Kuno for the rest of this video. So I wanna just take the time to talk about IEMs, dude. I know people don't care. I know generally the other hobby videos, like generally people don't care about, the engagement's far lower, but you know what? I'm not a slave to the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. This is Blade Bias, and as long as I'm flipping a ballad song, I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. So why did I do that stupid fucking little dance? Yeah, so let's talk about IEMs, because I just want to talk about IEMs, bro. I want to take you through my collection. More in depth than I did the last time that I talked about IEMs in that EDC bag video, because that was about the EDC bag. That wasn't about the audio experience, you know? And also just talk about, because I did that video where I talked about how getting into IEMs changed my ballad song perception, but I never really talked about like my experience with IEMs, you know? So we're going to do that right now. I don't even know what I'm trying with these things. So this is my collection right now. There are also things like I've got my XM4s. I've got the Galaxy Buds Pro. But I've kind of been turned off of Bluetooth a little bit, and I'll talk about that a little later in the video. But it is just like... It's such a good collection. I love it. I love it so much. Except for these. These suck. So I mentioned this in the last video, in the EDC bag video. These were $3. I literally bought them just for this case because these cases aren't portable, so I put them in there. These things are terrible. They're tiny. They don't fit very well. They don't seal very well. The only thing about them is that I can put them in my ears. I can still hear myself relatively well because they don't seal very well. And I mean, they're comfortable. Like they're super, super tiny. So you could realistically like sleep with these things in. And you wouldn't be like, they wouldn't be sticking out and you lay on your pillow and they're jamming into your ear. Some people want to sleep with earbuds. I used to, but that is about all these are good for. They sound terrible. They sound like you're listening to music through a pillow, a bed sheet, and DACs himself. They're awful. They're so shrouded and muddy, and like I don't even think any of those could begin to describe them. But you know what? $3. I paid $3 for the case. That's all I care about. So, you know. Next up, we got the Timeless. The Timeless were what started my interest in IEMs in the first place. Planar magnetics, which is basically the speaker. Imagine a very, very thin, instead of a normal speaker, which is like a cone, and then you have the membrane, and it wobbles back and forth and it creates sound waves. This is a really thin membrane, and then a magnet moves the whole thing back and forth. And because of that, I mean, that's the very basics of it. It gets more complicated than that. But essentially what the benefit of that is you get a tighter bass response. So essentially the speed, people call it the attack of the bass, it's very immediate. You hear the bass and then the bass goes away. With really bad headphones, at least the way that I understand it, you can have bass kind of linger and it just kind of like booms and echoes and muddies up the entire signature. With this, you have a clear start, clear end. It's very clean. And I know I'm just kind of spouting words, but if you ever get to try the Timeless, I think you'll get that. It's just a very clean signature. It's a little more bass heavy than I don't want to say it's more bass heavy than I like, because these are more bass heavy than I like. That's like the Sony way. They're more bass heavy than these. I'm someone who prefers to hear my vocals, which is not to say that the vocals are bad on these, because they're very forward, they're very present. They're just more forward on these. And these are the MoonDrop Blessing 3s. These are the... I don't even know. These are like the NRB. I don't even want to say it. It's like if NRB was Nabali's, I guess. Because they make expensive stuff, but they also make really cheap stuff, and they're made in China, and they're also like mass manufactured, but they're still really good. I guess LDY. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. MoonDrop's kind of like the LDY of the IEM community. And these are the Blessing 3s, one of their latest releases. Now it's one of their last good releases, because everything they've released after these have been either mediocre or downright bad. I know people don't like the Starfield V2s. I think it's just the Starfield 2, actually. And also I think the MoonDrop Chew 2 has been a little more exciting, but still not like anything too crazy. And then there was one other one that was highly mediocre, but I really like these. These are super vocal. The driver setup in here is 4 BA drivers, which if you look in here, these little metal squares right here, those are BAs. It's essentially, there's a thing, and it pushes on the thing, and then the membrane moves, and then it moves the signal through a tube, and then it goes, I don't know. And then what's really interesting is this blue part right here is like it was I was like, what the hell is that noise? It's a bass chamber. So there's 2 DD drivers, dynamic drivers, your typical cone, like in a speaker, essentially. But they're facing each other. So instead of just one pumping sound through the tube and into your ears right here, you can see there's 3 openings, 1 for the dynamic driver, 2 for each of the, 1 for 2 BA drivers, and you have 4, so 2 total. But whenever one of these speakers pushes, the other one pulls, and it creates this very nice bass response. There's not enough bass in there. I would love if there was a little bit more bass, but I could fix that if I bought the Qtelix, which one of you mentioned in the last video. I've been looking at that for a while. Really interested in getting one of those, but if there was just a little more bass, it would be great, because the bass that is here is amazing. It's, I think, even tighter and faster than the Timeless are, but it just sounds, I don't know if it sounds more natural, because typically planars have a sort of timbre or a tone that you can tell. So do BAs. I don't know. People say that. I don't really hear it, man. They all sound like just a tiny, like 1% metallic to me, which I think is the BA and the planar timbre. I don't know, man. But the bass on these is incredibly good, like really good, and I really like them. They're just really big, and they fit so deep into your ears that they're not exactly the most comfortable things, but they have a secure fit. If you put them loose in there, they will slide down into your ear and plug everything. You can't hear shit from the outside world when those things are in. Oh my gosh, but I love them. I got a fantastic deal on them. Bought them secondhand from a guy who used them for like 4 hours. He didn't use the tips. He didn't even use the cable. He had all his own, because you can replace all that. And he used them for like 5 hours, and then he said, you know what? I like my variations better. And the variations are the $200 upgrade to these. So we sold these for like $100 off their normal price. And I was like, scoop, scoop, scoop. And I have never seen a deal that good since, which is actually perfect, because I was planning on buying the Blessing 2 Dusks, which were the predecessor to this, and then it was a combo with Critical, a IEM YouTuber. He's like the Will Hirsch of the IEM community, but like way less eccentric and more dry, but he's still awesome. I don't know, I like Critical. And then the guy just didn't respond to me, and then sold them, even though I had been asking him for more details for like 2 days. So I used the money to buy these instead, and I think I got a great deal, because they look beautiful and they are awesome. But yeah, I'm away from Bluetooth now because Bluetooth is so annoying. I was playing games earlier with my friend. My dad, whoopsies, ran out of storage space. But I was, as I was saying, I was playing games with my friend. My dad called me. My Bluetooth was like, "Oh my God, your dad's calling!" Switched everything to my phone. Took all my sound away from my computer. It was so I had to decline the call because I couldn't talk at the moment. And then it starts blasting music because it's like, "Oh, that's obviously what you were doing before." It's just a nightmare, dude. And Bluetooth is just like, it's just kind of annoying. Like sometimes it just won't connect, and then other times your battery just dies. The XM4s are great because these stayed in my bag all summer, and I just took them out for the first time in 3 months, and they still have a full charge. So like, I don't have to worry about battery too much on those. But like with my Galaxy Buds, those batteries are starting to die. They're starting to go away. I don't like it very much, you know. So just a cable is just so much easier. It's so much less hassle. And I will forever curse the people who took away the headphone jack because now I have to carry around this stupid dongly thing. Ugh. So yeah, that's my IEM collection. I mean, I'm kind of a headphone snob now. Kind of a big deal. I'm just kidding. I will say, I have started, like, my ears are finally starting to get to that point. You know when you first get in the balisong hobby and everything feels the same? I know in my Arctic review, I literally said this thing was neutral because it felt the same as a squiddy bee, which is perhaps one of the most embarrassing things that I have ever put out in the internet. Yeah, I was stupid back then. But, like, it's genuinely true. You're not trained to understand the subtle differences in most of this stuff. And with IEMs and headphones for the longest time, I wasn't either. I could appreciate a little bit of a difference, but then I would go back to happily using my XM4s or my SteelSeries Arctis 3s or whatever. But now that I have these, I put these on for the other day, and they're just so bassy and so muddy, and it's like they're not ruined because I still do like them as consumer headphones. They don't sound awful by any means. And, you know, I can still use them for amazing noise canceling and all that, but dang, they just don't, when you listen to music on them, they just don't sound as great as these do. I am looking for a nice pair of over-ears. I'm thinking about getting maybe the Meze 99 Classics, even though those are also pretty bassy, but like I'm going to be using them for gaming and stuff, so I need a little bit of bass to them. I don't know, man. We'll see. Probably not going to get anything soon, but what I will get soon is the Cutilix, which again, thank you for the recommendation. It's been on my list for a while. I'm just waiting to see what that would do for my daily routine. If you don't know, the Cutilix it's called a DAC, a digital analog converter. It's the thing that converts the digital signal through the wire to an analog signal so that your speakers can understand them and move as they need to. And it's essentially the same thing as this. This has a DAC in it, as small as it is. But it's like a little box, and you can plug it into your computer, and it will do all the little audio processing, or you can Bluetooth it to your phone and then listen to stuff like this, and it has a headphone jack on it, so it's like I could just clip that onto my belt, plug it into there, never have to take my phone out of my pocket. I got the buttons on it, and then if I want to, I could also like plug it into my phone and use it wired, or plug it into my computer and use it wired. It's pretty great. It also amplifies things, but I don't have anything that needs any amplification because IEMs don't require that much power anyways. So maybe I'll get that in the future. One thing that I will say is that, holy cow, you kind of remove the need for noise canceling when you realize when something seals good, like how good the noise isolation is when something just seals in your ears really good. Because if I put these in my ears, all I can hear is the reverb of myself, and it's awful, and I hate it. Everything else is gone. I mean, it's not gone. I can still hear other stuff, but once you play music, it's like I could go on probably not on a plane. I think ANC still has its merits on a plane. But holy cow, I could be really happy just wearing these and playing music, and I probably wouldn't hear much of anything. But I've been rambling long enough. What's my favorite in my IEM collection? Definitely these. These are definitely the most detailed, beautiful things that I've ever tried, and you should definitely go buy them. I'm just kidding. I don't know. It kind of changes by the day. I brought my blessings with me last week to school, and I was really enjoying them. This week I brought the timeless, and I was listening to them today, and I was realizing, wow, they sound really, really good. Like they're really balanced and they're really nice, and I really like them. I don't know which one's my favorite because they have a different sound signature. This is more bassy. It's like a planar bassy, whereas these are more vocal and instrumental focused. They also have a better soundstage, which is basically just like the imaging. Like if you've ever listened to a song, you can like point to where the instrument sounds like it's coming from. That soundstage. If you can't do that, the soundstage on your headphones or your IEMs is pretty bad. Some IEMs don't have a good soundstage, so everything just sounds like it's coming from a singular point inside your head. But these, you can tell like how far something is. You can literally, if you close your eyes on these, you can envision a stage. You're sitting in front of a stage, and like you'll hear a saxophone and a singer, and you can literally say, okay, the singer is right here, the saxophone's back here, and then way out over in the back, I can hear like a snare drum and a cymbal of some sort. It is so cool. And the best part is, I don't even think the Blessing 3s, like compared to everything else, have the greatest soundstage ever. I think most of the reviews I read on this from people online, because the IEM community is more based on written reviews, most of the people say it has a mediocre soundstage. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited to hear something that has like a really good soundstage. But anyway, I've been talking your ear off for too long. Thank you for listening to me ramble. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate it. If you're interested in IEMs, I don't know, join the Discord in the description. I've got an audio channel. You can maybe ask some questions. I know Solaire's in there. Solaire is a big IEM guy and has like thousands of dollars worth of IEMs and headphones, so he can definitely help you out. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Pre-order a Kuno. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.